You don't need to. Zoom did. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special Job Shadow Month edition of the Department of Aging and Rehabilitative Services Career Cafes. I am your host, Josh Sloan. This is the first in 4 Job Shadow Month career cafes that are going to be just a little different than our typical career cafes, and that we're going to spend a little bit more time with kind of a virtual job shadowing element of the presentation that our guest is going to facilitate. And then we'll follow that up with some interview questions from me. And then we'll, as always, have plenty of time for Q&A at the end with people in the audience. Today's segment of the Career Cafe is going to feature one guest interviewee, and that is going to be Sarah Stone with Commonwealth Senior Living. And Sarah will be discussing careers in the healthcare industry. And today's format is as follows. As I said, we're going to begin with a video and some other really cool stuff that Sarah has planned for us to learn all about the careers, in and around Commonwealth Senior Living. If you have a question during the interview, simply type it into the chat at any point, and we'll get to it later on around 4:45, 4:50 in that time frame towards the end of the whole thing. So if you ask a question, we haven't forgotten about it, just leave it there and we're going to get to it, I promise. One final thing, please, if you are not a guest on this, if you are just attending to check it out, please mute your microphones and put your Zoom into speaker mode so that you can see the folks, so you can see our interpreters and you can see our guests. And finally, live captioning is available as well as interpreters if you need that. I think that is everything. So I'm going to go ahead and again turn it over to Sarah, and I think she's got a bunch of cool stuff lined up for us that we're gonna check out. So Sarah, without further ado.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're excited to talk to you about Commonwealth Senior Living and our opportunities. Just to get started, we have a short video that we're going to play for you, just to give you a little bit more of an inside look into our community. So Beth, if you'll go ahead and play that video.
Beth, we can't hear that.
Yeah, just reshare your screen and make sure you click on the share sound, computer sound.
And then if you go into like options and like the 3 dots or something, and you click share computer sound, you should be good.
His heart is into it and he's very committed. What gets me excited is that every day is different.
The COVID pandemic placed incredible pressure on senior living staff. That's why Commonwealth Senior Living has put a special emphasis on recruiting and retaining the very best employees. Their holistic approach and willingness to invest in people looking to switch gears mid-career is reaping rewards in an industry that is experiencing burnout. To combat it, Commonwealth provides inclusive, associate-focused training programs with upward mobility wherever possible. Let's take a look at that winning HR formula at Commonwealth Senior Living.
Joining the team at Commonwealth 7 years ago was the best decision I've made in my career. I've had a chance of serving in other good communities, but Commonwealth has taken it truly from good to great.
Ruben Canty is a superstar at Commonwealth Senior Living. As the executive director of the assisted living and memory care community, he sets the standard for all the associates and the residents for whom they care.
We can create an environment where our associates can grow, where we can set an atmosphere where our residents can thrive day in and day out. I have the opportunity as a leader to pour what I've learned over the years into each associate and also pour my support into our families and partners that we have.
Probably the most important decision for me was actually the executive director. And when I met with Ruben the first time, I could just tell that he was very warm, he was very authentic, that he cared about the residents.
Susan Gooden's mother is a resident at Commonwealth.
His office is technically on the left-hand side, but he's never there. He always operates out of the glassed-in conference room space. You can walk in and talk with him. You see him out interacting with the residents, and you can tell that he enjoys it.
We have an upside-down organizational chart where I'm at the bottom and our frontline associates are at the top. And really throughout COVID over the last 2 years, that's been our main driving focus, is to make sure that we've done everything possible to make sure those frontline team members have the tools and resources that they need to be successful.
Earl Parker says Argentum has been an invaluable resource in workforce development.
We've been very actively partnering with them in one way, specifically is the apprenticeship program, to bring new people into the senior living field. It allows us to find people who might not be able to take the time and afford to take the time off to get the training, so we can bring them in and pay them to get the training and to get oriented to our industry.
Anybody who can see me around them can feel that I really love them, I really respect them, and that made them happy. They know that when we're around, it's going to be laughs and it's going
Something happened to the sound.
Yeah, we lost sound back.
Our residents. I've never met anyone that takes the personal mission to heart to be able to deliver on a daily basis as if they were her own family. She's actually a very unique individual because she's very creative, which fits very well with the position that she's in.
My relationship with Stephanie in the building, we are a great partnership. And that's how can I say we can partner on anything that she needs. She just needs to tell me what is needed and then we just get it done. Personally, I have found on her a best friend and a family member who can be trusted.
Associates know they must take care of residents while also attending to the concerns of their loved ones.
I am a very actively involved family member in my mom's care. I'm over here several times a week. And when there's something I have a question about, or there's a new policy or anything that's going on, there's a health issue with my mom, I can call Ruben, I can email him, I can text him, and he will always respond.
No wonder Susan waited 3 months for a suite to open up so her mom could move into Commonwealth.
So this was a very intentional choice for me. My mom has been here now for over 2 years, and it's been a great experience. And I really appreciated the opportunity to interact with Ruben, to interact with the staff.
Of course, no one could have anticipated the impact of the pandemic on senior living communities.
COVID changed the way that we operated in terms of the precautions and truly thinking a couple of steps ahead on what we need to do to support and protect not only our residents, but our employees as well.
Dealing with COVID-19 during the pandemic, there were many different fears from associates, families, and staff. And so in order to meet them where they were, I had to be able to communicate not only to the factual knowledge about COVID-19, but first be able to tear down the barriers of their fears.
At Commonwealth Senior Living, the attention to detail never ends. From a music therapy program called Sweet Melodies for residents with dementia and Alzheimer's disease, to high-quality meals and ensuring that employees know they are valued through their compensation and opportunity. There's also a strong sense of belonging.
We have a wonderful set of standards that our company has put in place to allow us to be successful. And so truly being able to love on our employees similar to how we love on our seniors is by far the most important.
My best advice for anybody who want to come to work at the departments that they choose to. I know everybody do it for the money and the bills, but these jobs require more than money and the bills. You require love, care, and be respectful to the elders. We are working for them.
Thank you, Beth. So that gives everybody just an inside look into our community. Unfortunately, we're not able to do a tour today, but hopefully through that video, you were able to learn a little bit more about our organization, hear from our executive director, some of our staff, and then even some of our resident families. And so the goal today will be to talk to you about Commonwealth Senior Living, who we are, get an inside look into the organization, hear from one of our very own about how they've grown in Commonwealth Senior Living, and then really talk to you about why we think we're such a great place to work, especially if you're interested in a career in healthcare. So our mission statement is, it is our goal to provide quality care to our elderly population in a non-institutional home-like atmosphere. We provide these services with the dignity, respect, and compassion our residents expect and deserve. And I think you could really hear that throughout the video. Our number one focus every day is on our residents, but because of that, we also put a tremendous investment in our associates, the people that are caring for those residents day in and day out. And so we were founded in 2002 with about 34 communities across the Mid-Atlantic. So we do operate in 4 states. We have Virginia, Tennessee, Maryland, Pennsylvania, but you will find that our heaviest concentration is here in Virginia with 27 communities. And throughout this presentation, you're going to hear us refer to ourselves as a community because that is exactly what we are to our residents. We are a community, kind of going back to our mission statement. It is a non-institutional home-like atmosphere. So, this is where they live. This is where they work, live, eat, play, all of those wonderful things. And we have 3 different options. We offer assisted living, independent living, and memory care. And I think it's important to point out that we are a little bit different than a skilled nursing home. A lot of our residents, they are self-sufficient. They just require maybe a little bit extra level of care that they wouldn't be able to get on their own. But they have the freedom to move freely around the community, whether it's in common spaces, whether it's in dining, but they have those options because this is their home. And so one of the things that we are also most proud of is that we are a 3-time consecutive Great Place to Work recipient. And I think a lot of that speaks to how it is that we choose to invest in our associates. So we have a couple of different programs for somebody who's getting started within Commonwealth Senior Living, because when we hire you, we want to hire you and we want you to stay. We want you to be able to grow your career in advance. So we have a couple of different programs that we offer, one of which is a Developing Leaders program for somebody who maybe has gone into a supervisor or managerial role. They're going to go through a series of workshops to help them build the skills that they need to be a successful leader in our communities. We also operate and have a Center of Excellence, which those are for individuals who maybe aren't at that leadership role yet, but that is where their career goal is to be. And so we've got a program to help equip them with what they need to advance to that next step. And then our highest program is our Executive Director and Training program. We're very proud that we do a lot of promotion from within, and that includes our executive directors. They have a full year-long rotational program that they would go through to become certified and then eventually become an executive director at any one of our communities. So we truly do believe in investing in the employees, making sure that you have the skills that you need to grow in your career, but then also finding out how specifically you want to grow in your career. So with me today, I have Amber Foster. She is one of our regional vice presidents who has been with Commonwealth for quite some time, has really started from the bottom and worked her way up all the way to the top. So she's going to spend some time talking to you all about how she got started within the organization, how she's grown, but then more specifically give you an inside look in what a day-to-day looks like for a caregiver. So Amber, if you'd like to go ahead and get started.
Hey there, everybody. Thank you for inviting me to speak today. Very true. The company started in 2002, and that's actually when I started my career in healthcare. So I saw a job ad on a job board in high school looking for just a receptionist position. And I thought, I'm 16, time to get a job. So went in, applied, got the job, and was the weekend receptionist. Once I started doing that, I started to learn more about the healthcare industry, learn more about the residents, and decided at that time that I wanted to keep learning and keep growing. I did the very basic things that I think a lot of people overlook, but are so important in the industry, is showing up to work on time, going above and beyond. All those little things make such a difference because it really allowed management to look at me and say, oh, well, she's interested in growing. Let's try her here. Let's try her there. So after I was the receptionist for a bit, I decided to get into healthcare specifically, and the company provided me the training to be a certified nursing assistant. So the thing I appreciated the most was I was still in school at the time. So I really needed flexible scheduling to be able to accomplish that. And the company was more than willing to let me, decide what my hours needed to be. How could I work around school? So I was the CNA in the community from 7 p.m. to 11 p.m. So I would go to college during the day, and then I would come in at night. And my primary responsibilities as the CNA was to make sure I got all the residents ready for bed in the evenings and calm everything down. And it was so rewarding to be able to be that person that helped that resident get ready at night and go to bed. They needed somebody that's there to help them brush their teeth, someone to help them get into their pajamas. And I found that the nights that were the most rewarding were the nights that everybody worked together as a team, to make sure that the night moved out slowly, and that residents were calm, happy, and content. If it was nights that we had a little extra time, we would play movies, we would do snacks, we would do puzzles. So it was a very rewarding environment, and it's something that has always stuck with me. It was such an accidental career. Healthcare was just something that kind of landed in my lap, and I never thought that I would, get into. And then once I kept growing and learning more about the industry, the more I wanted to know. So when I finished up college, during that time too, I took the Registered Medication Aid program, which was given to me by the company. So they said, Amber, do you want to learn more about how to pass medications in a community? And I was all over it because I wanted to keep learning more. So I became a registered medication aide in Virginia and helped the residents get their medications. So my day-to-day would look like, residents get medications at breakfast time. You're reading the medication administration record, comparing it to the medications in the cart, and then administering the medication to the resident. And that taught me a great amount of responsibility, learning different things about medications, when they're supposed to be given, how they're supposed to be given, and the effect that it can have on residents if they don't get their medications. So I felt very responsible, and it was very rewarding knowing that, I was there to provide a service for people. It's not like a career that you would have, where you're working on a line, putting together toys. You're dealing with real life people and making a real difference in their lives on a day-to-day basis. The career for that is rewarding for healthcare in general. Once I finished up, I kind of worked in the community in every department and every role, just so I could learn more about all aspects of operations, which eventually led me into growing into taking the executive director in training program. And then I was an executive director for almost 7 years. And it really helped me learn a lot of the operations of the community, having that experience that I worked in each department. Having the heart coming into it and knowing that you really do make that true difference. You can go home at night knowing that you truly did have an effect on somebody else's life and made it better for them. Being on the front line and being that caregiver and that person to the resident means the world to them. They start to look at you like you're your family to them, because they do see you. You've been there for many years a lot of times, and you become part of their family. And sometimes they see you more than they do see their family. So I think coming into it with a heart, you don't necessarily have to have a laundry list of a resume of all these things that you've done. The company is very willing to take you in, if you have the heart to want to do it. We can teach you that skill. And the company, it's very true when they say they flip the organization chart upside down, and they truly do value their frontline employees. And I can 100% vouch for that, growing into where I am today. Over a span of 20 years, everything that I have learned and everything that the company has supported me for growth. So definitely healthcare, great industry, many different avenues you can go. And it starts with, your basic personal care, being right there with the residents side by side, learning all you can, having a flexible schedule, getting in there, learning what you can, and working as a team. It makes all the difference.
Thank you, Amber. I appreciate that.
Okay.
And just, wanted to, reiterate some of what Amber said. It's not really about, do I have the qualifications? We never want somebody to look at a job ad, read the qualifications list and say, oh, I'm not qualified, and decide that for themselves. If this is an industry that you want to get into, if this is something that you want to learn more about and you're excited about it, if you care for others, we want to talk to you, because we have the means and we have the resources to provide you with the training that you need to help you grow into those career. And so, as you can see on this slide, these are just a couple of the career examples for which we hire for. We have personal care aides, certified nursing assistants, medication techs. We have what's called an assistant resident care director and resident care director at each community. So that is for somebody who has maybe gone from the next step of being a CNA or a med tech and has put themselves through school to become an RN or an LPN. These individuals, they oversee our entire care staff. So, if you get started in that, personal care aide level, and as Amber was saying, you decide that this is really an industry that you want to grow in, and you decide that you want to go up to that next level and become a nurse or an LPN, we still have opportunities and we still have a need for you in our community. So if you're
Hey,
ever
Sarah?
visiting, yes.
Could you just clarify the difference between an LPN and an RN, just so folks know?
Sure, absolutely. So your RN is your registered nurse, which is a step above of the LPN, which is more of like your licensed practical nurse. We will accept both. Some of our resident care directors have their RN, some have their LPN. Typically an LPN is a little bit of a shorter program duration than an RN, but they're both within that nursing field. Does that help answer the question? Okay, great. So again, if you're looking at our website, these are going to be some of those positions that you see posted that you would apply to. And what you'll notice is a lot of the qualifications, they really just talk about having the heart, having the passion, having the desire to get involved in the industry, because that's what we care about the most. And then you'll always see kind of right there at the bottom, it's, if you have your CNA, which is the Certified Nursing Assistant, or your PCA, which is the Personal Care Aide license, that's ideal. But if you don't have it, still apply, because we've got the means to help you get there and get that license. This next slide, it just shows you a little bit of what a career ladder can look like. Again, similar to what Amber was talking about. This one is very specific to our resident care department, which is where we have those healthcare careers. So kind of starting at the bottom, you'll see that we have what's called an RCA. That's a resident care associate. So that's somebody with that CNA or PCA license. And kind of just following through, you'll see that there's opportunities to become a lead RCA, a senior RCA, somebody who may work their way all the way up to becoming an assistant resident care director, which is where having that LPN or RN will come into play, or moving sideways into the registered medication aide, and kind of moving through that pathway. And then it takes you all the way over to that resident care side. And there you can see is where you start growing into becoming that executive director, or in Amber's case, even a regional vice president. So there is definitely a ladder and an opportunity for growth. That's something, again, that we truly believe in, and we want to make sure that we give you the tools that you need to get you there. One of the things that I mentioned in the beginning was that, we do have 34 communities, with 27 of those concentrated in Virginia. I did just want to put up a list, because I know that we have people on this webinar who are really all over Virginia. So this is a list for you of all of our locations. I don't expect you to memorize it. Of course, if you have questions, you can always go to our website, or you can ask them directly if you want to know if there's a location near you. But one of the things that I find that's so unique about this is that, you may start at one community in one role, and then as you continue to grow with your career, you may end up moving to another community. Amber, when you got started, were you at one community the whole time, or did you end up moving some?
I moved around. I actually started in Front Royal, Virginia, and then when I got into it for a few years, they needed some help over in Farnham, Virginia. So I actually went to Farnham for a couple of years and then landed back in Front Royal, which was my hometown. So, and then I've done a lot of mentoring others at communities. So I've hopped around quite a bit, just being able to understand, the logistics for each community, because it is a little bit different based on your location. So it was good for me to see everything.
Yeah, and that's again, another, I think, something unique about us is that each community, we operate the same, but each community is different, and they have, I think, what makes them special. But again, because of that opportunity, if you are ready to grow and advance, and let's just say perhaps there isn't an opportunity at your specific community available, but there is at another one, you have that option to be able to look. And it's not uncommon for us to have associates who move from one community to the next, or who go to the next community to help with training, or even sometimes just help and support. I know during the pandemic, we've all used each other as a resource, and we've had individuals, especially in the Hampton Roads area, where a lot of our communities are close in proximity. help one another out and go over there if maybe they're feeling a little bit short-staffed and they need extra hands. So you really get a chance to see more than just where you are. And then I do want to highlight that we are going to have an upcoming hiring event on Tuesday, February 24th. It is an open hiring event, which means you don't have to call ahead. You don't have to schedule a time. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Anybody is free to come to any one of our community locations. Stop in, you'll get a tour of the community. We will be doing interviews on the spot. We'll even do job offers on the spot. So if what you've learned today, you are very interested in, and you want to get more information, you want to see what the community is, you want to talk to associates who are there, we invite you to come out so that we can talk with you and give you more information. And then if you're really serious about it, hopefully be able to interview and start talking to you about or giving you more of an insight of what a typical day looks like. So that will be Tuesday, February 24th from 10 to 4. At this point, I guess, Josh, I can turn it over to you because I know you have some questions, or if there's been questions in the chat that maybe Amber and I can help answer.
Yeah, there's definitely been questions in the chat. I think we can start there, actually. Let's see, I'm gonna actually start at the bottom because it's been a very busy chat today. Let's see, Paulina would like to know just kind of like an overview of how to get these jobs, especially if you're younger, 17, 18, it sounds like a pretty common age for folks that have been asking questions in the chat. So, obviously you just mentioned you can come to the job fair at 10 a.m. On Tuesday, February, the chat is covering up the date right now.
Tuesday, February 24th. Yes.
And so that would be at a physical event at every single facility?
Yes, it will be at every single community. So depending on where you're located and what community is closest to you, it is an open event all day for anybody to attend. And to kind of answer your question too, if you're 16 or 17 and you're trying to get your foot in the door and get started, we spent a lot of time today talking about our healthcare positions, but the other aspect of who we are is also hospitality. We have dining, we have maintenance, we have housekeeping, and there's other positions that might be a place for you to get started. And then, you heard Amber say she started kind of in the front desk as a receptionist. So a lot of times those positions have a little bit more flexibility too, so they can work with what your school schedules are. So I would say don't rule those out because that might just be that first stepping stone that you need to get started. And again, we'll give you the training that we need to, propel you or move you to the next step.
This actually brings up a question that was one of the first that came up, which is, are there janitorial positions open at the Commonwealth Senior Living Facility?
We do. We have housekeeping. So that falls under our maintenance department. And those are the individuals that are going, they're keeping our communities in top shape. Making them look pretty. So yes, there are those positions available, and they would be called housekeeping.
Gotcha. Another question, and I'm coming down the list. So what does a resident care director do? So maybe just a little bit more clarification on that role of resident care director.
So the resident care director is overseeing the entire resident care department. So they are going to be obviously in that managerial role, but it is not uncommon for our resident care directors to be right there on the floor working with our resident care associates, providing some of the exact same services. They're just going to have more of the supervisory roles. Amber, is there anything maybe you want to add to the resident care director?
Yeah, I would say it's essentially like a director of nursing position, and it's the same. You're doing a lot of hands-on care and providing the care for the residents, much like CNAs would on the floor, but you are that supervisor. So you're kind of the go-to person, and you're overseeing all aspects of care for that specific department, leadership-wise. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So like the
That's
CNAs and the PCAs they're in each individual room working with individual residents. And the what's the title?
Resident care director.
The resident care director is, in the simplest terms possible, their boss.
Right.
Yeah. But like she said there, it's not uncommon for them to be right there on the floor working with them.
Right. Absolutely. I have actually, this question I think is really interesting. And if you, feel like slightly like, unqualified to answer it, that's okay. But I feel like we should field it. What is the degree of difficulty in passing the certification for a PCA or CNA position for someone with an intellectual disability?
So Amber, I will, if you don't mind, let you answer that, since I know you've actually gone through that yourself. I know it was a while ago, but you might have a little bit better insight.
Definitely. So there's a little bit of a difference between the two. So a personal care assistant does not require any type of a state test. So you can go on and take their training program through the company, and it's a 40-hour training program. And as long as you complete that program and successfully pass, there's no test, and you've completed the hours for training and you've shown that you can safely do things, you can pass through that easily with mostly hands-on instruction. The CNA program is much the same, but to be licensed in Virginia, you do have to sit for the board test. And I took it, probably 15 years ago. It wasn't bad at all when I took it. It's mostly comprehension of what you learned during the course. And then there's a portion of it that you show your skills. So what you've learned skill-wise, you would apply, show the instructor, how to make a bed or how to give someone a bed bath, depending on what the skill they want you to show them is. So I wouldn't rate it to be difficult. No, I think it's, for the specific question, in the community that I worked in Front Royal, we had several people that came in with those same fears and concerns and are still there today and are outstanding caregivers. So if you have the heart and the passion behind it, the skill can be taught.
And Sarah, can I interject something? This is Beth. And if you are a customer of Department for Aging and Rehab Services, your counselor would be able to help you with knowing if that is something that you are able to do. So please talk to your vocational rehab counselor about your interest.
And to your point, we do have several associates who do have vocational rehab counselors or job coaches that work with them.
Awesome. Great stuff. Nate had brought up a question of just, wondering about services in Roanoke or having a location in Roanoke. Obviously, you listed the locations that you have, Roanoke not being one, but I guess a question would be, if someone was looking for this kind of work in their community and it's not one of the ones listed on the slide here, would there be comparable opportunities kind of all over the state? I mean, or is this pretty unique to Commonwealth Senior Living? I mean,
so I guess, are we asking, are there other companies or organizations that would have locations in that area?
Yeah.
I would be 100% confident. Yes, there would be other companies. I mean, for Roanoke's purpose, we do have Radford and Christiansburg. I know that's a little bit further out. I believe that might be the closest location. But I'm sure that yes, this industry right now is kind of in a staffing crisis, if you will. We are looking for people everywhere, and we're all looking for people everywhere. Obviously, we want you all to come work for Commonwealth Senior Living, but if there's not a location near you, there definitely are other companies that provide the exact same services that you would be able to go and look at.
Yep. Well, not the exact same. Yours are obviously elite as compared to theirs, but
well, of course, yes, absolutely.
A question that this might be a bit of a doozy, but question that came up was, how has COVID-19 affected the industry on the whole? And I'm sure that's quite a good one.
Yeah. How much time do we have? When the pandemic started, there was a lot of shift of people going to work from home, right? People doing their jobs remotely. That's not an option in senior living, because this, again, as I said at the very beginning, this is our residents' home. And so, there could be 12 feet of snow outside and we're still not closing. So I would say that was the first thing. There was no, pack up your computer and let's head home and do what we need to do from there. You've still got to be there every day. And now, not only do you have to be there taking care of residents, you have to really add that extra layer of, the sanitation and keeping them safe. And, I know Amber has probably been more involved in that part, as actually herself probably being a frontline caregiver at times. So Amber, if you want to add to that, I'm sure you have some more insight.
It's been very interesting, to say the least. I think probably the biggest challenge we had initially back in 2020 was just getting learning what COVID-19 was and how do we learn to, first of all, combat it, and then second of all, learning how do we still exist with it being present without changing a bunch of things. So I think the biggest difference right now is just we've really honed in on the safety aspect of things. So putting things in place like temperature checks, we do wear masks all the time. We require our staff to be vaccinated. So things like that has really helped us, keep our residents safe. Not too much caregiving wise has changed, but the way we adapt to it and what we do to help keep them safer changed a little bit.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. Appreciate it. A question that I think maybe is a little bit too specific to answer, but I think it could be answered in a way that could be helpful for kind of anybody is what's available in Chesterfield and Richmond. So I doubt you'll have a list of like a specific list of jobs off the top of your head, but maybe you could tell somebody where to go to see what listings are available in any area.
Yeah, certainly. So if you go to our website, which I can put here in the chat, that is where you are going to find all of our posting. We actually just redid our website. You'll see a careers tab right up there at the top. And you would just click on that and you would want to search, they're called community positions. I think to also though, to really answer that question, every single one of these communities that you see listed or locations, they're all going to be hiring for resident care aides and registered medication techs. We'll never not have that position posted. And something that I didn't highlight were we do have 3 shift options because it is a 24/7 operation. So you'll have your, 7 to 3, or 7 to 3, 3 to 7, 7 to 11, or I'm sure I think I just messed that up somewhere, but there are 3 shift options. And so at any given point, we're always looking to fill those. So I think it's safe to say those positions are always going to be posted. Specifically for Richmond and Chesterfield, I know they might have some needs in dining, which is serving. So it's, you're the one responsible for serving like the breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They've got a community dining space that they eat within. So I would encourage you to look at the website. When you go to the website and you hit that careers tab, there is a drop down for you to select by the location. And that's where all of those positions will be posted.
And then another question was if someone wasn't available on the 24th to come to a physical thing, another great place to go would be the website in that instance as well.
Absolutely, yes. And 2, I am okay with another thing I am put in the chat and we can capture it. I am fine with providing my contact information so that if somebody is not able to make it on that date, but this is something that they definitely want to explore more of, please just feel free to send me an email and I can go ahead and I can get you over to whatever that location is. That email, it's sarah.stone@commonwealthsl.com, but I've put that in the chat.
That would be great. Yeah. And I'm sure maybe is there opportunities if somebody wanted to, maybe if they've applied online, but they want to kind of put a name to a face and if they stop by, is there somewhere that they could drop off a resume or something like that?
I think we are definitely open to that. Again, we are looking for people and we are looking for people every second of the day. So if there's somebody who wants to take the time to come in and say that they've applied online and drop something off, I would highly encourage it. And as soon as you walk in, you're going to have that reception concierge area where you would check in anyhow. So that would be the first place you go and you wouldn't miss it when you walk in.
Awesome. That's great. We had another question come in. Do you work directly with Physicians Transport Services or anybody in volunteer fire departments or EMT paramedic type positions? Is that something that you guys have connections to or any recommendations about how to get involved in those fields maybe?
So, those are not positions that we hire for. As far as working with or alongside, Amber, do you know if there's any involvement there?
I don't think specifically, but based on location, your community might have a good relationship with a local fire department that can provide you with some names and numbers of who to contact, and it would probably be location specific. But I don't think company-wide we do any type of a company-wide partnership.
Gotcha. But yeah, if that is the work that you're interested in, it's probably a fairly similar process in terms of as a CMT, or excuse me, a CNA or a PCA in terms of like, there's a training, you know, a
Yes, I mean, I
schedule
know
thing.
there's EMT and EMS training that you would go through. I think it's probably a little bit more involved as far as like duration goes. But yes, there would be a training program that you would have to go through, and you would be able to probably find that depending on your area. There's probably several different whether they're training providers or community colleges that provide those programs.
Yeah, and that would be a great question to talk to your vocational rehab counselor at DARS about. I'm sure that they could connect you with those resources in your area. We had another question come up about housekeeping and how to get involved with that specific aspect of the work at Commonwealth Senior Living.
So that would just be, I mean, as simple as applying for the position. The other thing, when you go to the website, if you're somebody who, and I say this more specifically for, again, Hampton Roads, because for us, that's like a cluster market with several locations. Instead of just maybe hitting the location that you're looking for, there's also the drop down for the job category. And so if housekeeping is what you're looking for, you would just hit that drop down and select housekeeping, and all of those positions would pop up. But there's no formal training for that. I know some of the communities will let you do kind of like a one-day job shadow, where if that's the position you're interested in, you can come in and you can kind of follow somebody around to get the feel of what that day looks like. And then if it's something you're still interested in, from there, it's just interview and then hire. One of the things I did not point out, though, is every new hire will go through a jumpstart orientation. And that is our new hire employee orientation. And that's really going to acclimate you to the community. It's going to introduce you to every aspect. Then I think we have a little bit of feedback.
I'm not sure where that's coming from.
But that's going to help you learn kind of everything you need to know about your particular community, the people that you're working with, the department heads that you'll be working with. So regardless of what position you go into, everybody's going to go through this jumpstart orientation. And it's, you know, it's full-time, it's a part of your job, it's paid, but that is always step one for an associate.
Awesome. And I guess something else that I was trying to get some clarification about is, if you don't have your CNA or PCA, is that something that you all would help somebody acquire as well?
Yes, so we run the PCA training in our communities. It's in-house. And so if you don't have that license, but that's something that you have the desire to get, you know, you would come in, you know, we would hire you. And that's why I mentioned some of those other jobs too, like dining or housekeeping or concierge, because sometimes those are just good positions to get started in. And then depending on when we run those classes, we could put you through the PCA class. You know, and it's paid, it's full-time, but that is something that we would provide for you. Now with the CNA training, I do want to highlight that is going to be outside of Commonwealth. We do not provide that in-house, but we do have resources and means to help with the cost for what the CNA training would be, so that it's very little to the associate.
Thanks. Hey, McKenna, if you have a question, you can just type it in the chat and we'll go ahead and we'll answer it. Feel free to do that.
I just raised my hand because I live in Vienna. So which one is close to this? That's my question about it.
So Vienna, that's a great question, McKenna.
I know. Our Northern Virginia contact just had to pop off. So
if Vienna's closer to Northern Virginia, I would probably say you're going to be looking at Fredericksburg, Stafford.
Fredericksburg is too far.
Okay.
What is Vienna near?
I live by Workshop Elementary School.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, there's one in Texas Corner, right?
Tyson's Corner.
If there isn't a specific Commonwealth Senior Living community, that there's be similar organizations in Vienna. You could just Google CNA or senior living.
Nursing home in Vienna.
I would say senior living over nursing home, but yeah, senior living community in Vienna, Virginia, and then look for on their website, look for their open positions, like whether or not they're hiring, and chances are they will be for the CNA and PCA.
Is a Frankfurt better than Vienna because it's really close to Leesburg, right?
I have no clue
I don't
about
know.
anything.
Vienna is in Fairfax County, if that helps you guys.
I
Yeah,
think
I
you're
live in-
probably looking at, Front Royal is about an hour from Vienna, and I want to say Berryville may be about 45 minutes. Berryville's about 30 minutes from Leesburg.
That one might be better because my mom has the contacts in my I just texted the website in your email, Sarah. I just let you know.
Okay. Yeah, you can reach out to me and I can let you know. But I think, Amber, if you're closer to Fairfax, I think Berryville and Front Royal are going to be your two closest locations.
Yep, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Thank
Yeah.
you,
That's my
Amber.
question.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If anybody has any questions, there's no need to raise your hand. You can just type your questions right in the chat and then we'll answer them. If anybody else has questions, they can just type them in the chat and we'll get right to them. Let's see. What else do we got here? Something that I like to ask everybody, just anybody that does one of these career cafes, just because I think it can be a really valuable thing. And Amber, if you want to chime in on this too, that'd be great. What single piece of advice would you all give to someone looking to find a job within this field?
I say going in with a positive attitude, being able to work with others as a team, being on time, and all those small skills that sound so minor but make such a difference. If you go into a community with a big heart, willing to learn with a positive attitude, you're going to go so far. Those were the things that I always told myself and that were instilled in me when I was younger was, my parents worked really hard. Both had 2 jobs. So it was always, Amber, the most important thing is coming to work, being on time, being willing to do whatever is asked of you, and then working well with others. And you're going to go far. Those things will carry you so far. And then having the heart, being there for the people, wanting to get into an industry where you can truly make a difference and help others.
Yeah, I think Amber
Awesome.
is exactly right on that. And patience. I think patience is a big virtue. Yeah. And also,
Awesome.
I think the other thing to remember too is, you brighten these people's day, our residents' day. They develop relationships with you and they look forward to seeing you because not all of them have maybe a lot of family that come in and visit with them, So for some of them, you might kind of become their family. And they see you every day. So I think that too is something to always kind of keep in the back of your head. This isn't just a person or a customer you're taking care of. This is a resident. This is their home and they see it that way.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're getting about to be wrapped up here. I did have one more question just drop into the chat, which I think we can, maybe briefly cover because we already kind of talked about it, but is there a lot of on-the-job training for this career is the question currently coming in the chat. And I think after we answer that one, we probably, unless anybody has any other questions, we'll probably be about towards the end here.
Lots of on-the-job training. And it's, I would say once you go through which we call the Jumpstart program, which kind of teaches you overall the community and the ins and outs, you are paired with a mentor and you're kind of that mentor's shadow to really learn the position. And you're not let to go on your own until you feel comfortable. So somebody's always right there guiding you through the process. And I think that makes a huge difference. So you never feel like you're, left high and dry. You always have that mentor that's there for questions and there to show you each step of the way.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, we've got a few more minutes. If anybody has any questions, feel free to throw them into the chat. Otherwise, we're gonna actually wrap up just a few minutes early here. It looks like. Sarah, Amber, do you all have anything to add before we get going, or?
No, I thank you all for having on today. Hopefully you're able to learn a little bit more. And, honestly, anybody who is really interested in getting more information, seeing one of our communities, becoming a part of our team, please, I encourage you to come out to that hiring event on the 24th. You do not have to call. You don't have to schedule a time. If you can't make the 24th, my contact information is out there. Please reach out to me and I can connect you with who you need to get in touch with.
Awesome.
I cannot make it. I cannot make on the 24th because I have school then.
That's okay. You can
Sarah,
always.
Sarah mentioned that you could reach out to her or reach out to your teacher and talk to them about it. Sarah, thank you very much. And Amber, you've spent a lot of time putting this together and we really appreciate it. And I hope folks enjoyed it.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank you all
thank
so
you.
much. Sarah, Amber, thank you. If anybody is looking, Commonwealth Senior Living or Commonwealth, it's in the chat, but the website, Sarah's email is also in the chat. Please reach out to them. Go to the career fair on February 24th from 10 to 2 at any of their locations all over the state. And we hope to see everybody next week for our second installment of the Job Shadow Month Career Cafes. And that's it. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.